Just kidding. Welcome to the show. It's Skyfire Live. We're Skyfire News, and we introduce you guys to all the top news stories of the day that have anything to do with UAP, UFO, or UFO culture. Getting started today, we have a full schedule, dude. At Skinwalker Ranch, partners with Samsung and the War Room. That's kind of a bizarre partnership, but let's see what that's all about. China preps for space wars. You heard it here first. China's getting ready. They're getting geared up. All right, they're tackling that space territory. Let's hope it doesn't lead to anything crazy. Let's see what that story is about. Groomed for ufology. That's a weird statement. Tom DeLong made it himself, right? He said he's been kind of groomed to be a ufologist. What does that mean? How long has that been going on? Tom, we got to know. We're going to dive into that one. We have a UFO case for you guys from the archive. It's the Frederick Valentich encounter, which is kind of intense, kind of scary, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about that. That one is from 1978, and it involves a missing plane, so pretty banana stuff. We also got some other stuff. We got a great guest for you guys tonight. We got Pavel in the mix. Cannot wait to get him in here talking with us. But yeah, a UFO was sighted or spotted in like a video in New York City, and it looks full, like a full craft. I don't know how else to describe it, but it buzzes by the camera from an airplane really fast. People are saying it's a bug. I personally think it's not a bug. I've never seen a bug that high up, but maybe not here nor there. Is Jacobo Grinberg still alive, dude? That's actually a juicy story. This has been going around for a while. This guy, you guys maybe have heard him, seen him, but the mystery still continues, and hopefully Pavel can help shed some light on that stuff. Without further ado, we got Red Panda Koala in the mix. Red, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Tupa. How are you today?
Dude, good. I'm in focus too. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Boom.
Hell yeah.
Let's getting this link over to Pavel. I'm super excited to have him on the show.
Oh, it's been a long time coming.
Off, like you said, Skinwalker Ranch, China, Tom DeLong. Y'all know, if you don't know, I have some of the best Tom DeLong documentaries out there.
The best. You have the best Tom DeLong documentaries on the internet right now. Go check out Red Panda Koala's YouTube channel to find that out. Good thumbnails on those too.
Oh yeah, that was you, right? Thank you.
Solid thumbnail.
Go back.
Work. Dude, way back. But yeah.
To the Discord, dude.
What? I've never heard of that. Oh, what's up, Megan? We got Skinny Bob in the house. We got a lot of people. Let's shout them out real quick.
Yeah, let's shout out the chat. So we got I was first in the chat, super stoked about Pavel. We got Hood Hustler saying, let's go. Heather Birdie saying, let's do this. Anthony Jones, who's also a member, shout out to the members. Good evening, everyone. Zach, hey. What is this? Hi, welcome to Chili's. Hello.
Oh, Chili.
T-Cause, hello. Boston Deadhead with the we're rocking. Sandy says, hey, Skyfire.
Hey, Sandy.
Derek Duggarty says, stare at the image, relax your eyes, and let the image cross until it's 3D. I think that's a good thing that we're totally trying to, subliminally message you guys with that intro. So I'm glad you're picking up on that, Derek. I think that's about it. Whoop-de-woozers, YOY Fools, Spark, Zap, Zach, Skinny Bob, friend of the show. Hello, Skyfire chat peeps.
We got Hey Ocean's in the mix.
Hey Ocean's in the mix.
There we
go. The
go.
only news I watch. I think that's about everyone. Oh, Megan, we said Pavel. Yep. All right, let's go. Craig C. Cool. There we go. Sean W. Pizza Slayer. All right, that's everyone.
Hey, we love you guys back. Hey, don't forget to like the show. Go down there, like the show. Hope you guys' notifications are on. I'm sure they are. That's why you guys are here right away. I know we got people from our Spaces and our X fam over here. That's good to see too. If you guys don't know, we dropped our very first YouTube shorts, a clip from our show yesterday. We dropped our very first one. Go check. We can watch. Let's throw it on.
I'll throw it on. Yeah, talk about it, and I'll pull it up.
Okay, so this has to do with the SETI at home data that got like exposed, but kind of revealed the other day through Professor Simon Holland. And so like that news just kind of spread like wildfire. Even Vetted, Patrick over at Vetted covered it today. So we covered it last night, and we decided to turn that into a little short of a hey, did you know? And so this is what we came up with.
Let's go ahead and cut the music.
Cut them. You got to kill that on it. Sick.
Perfect. All right, let's press play. Is it up on the screen? No.
Shout out to StreamYard, yo.
StreamYards is the best. Okay.
Did you know that in the 1990s that a WoW signal was found and no one talks about it? What normally SETI was looking for was direct messages. What this group in Italy wanted to do in the 90s, they figured, you know what, like maybe there's just these civilizations out there that might be producing radio signals, but they're not trying to contact anybody. So what if we're looking in the wrong place? So what they looked for instead of direct signals was signals that had a Doppler effect, which if you've ever heard a police siren go by, it like raises in pitch and then lowers in pitch, because they figured, hey, if there was a signal out there coming from a planet that's spinning around, that it might exhibit a Doppler effect. So in the 90s, they found 18 so-called WoW signals. Since they've been analyzing these signals, they've actually identified data. Some of the data has images in it.
Somebody get a TV monitor.
Red, did you know?
Whoa!
I love the way.
Nice, Tupa.
Dude, you gotta fit in contact when you get in there. Shout out to Armstrong for the $9.99 super chat, bro. Much appreciated. And hey, right back to you. Good to see you guys here, man. This is really cool. Thank you for that support.
All right. Well, we should probably save the Skinwalker for, I think, Pavel, because I heard he was on Vetted. He was talking about Skinwalker stuff a lot. And he said he only has like 30 minutes to an hour, so we'll maybe get through some stories, then we'll get to
we got. We're trying to keep it tight too. So but cool. Let's get into it. So let's dive right into China preps for space wars.
Right.
So this is an article. Like, I think this is cool, right? But really what's happening is a little less kind of like, obviously it's a little less than the headline would display. Basically, China's launching some like it's like backup. Like, you know that if our satellites went down, we'd be screwed. There's nothing we could do. If our satellites went down for even 5 minutes, I think we'd all freak out. Our teenagers would lose their minds. So this is a backup plan in case GPS signals are disrupted. Now, could that mean that they're prepping for a war or for something? Of course. But are major countries always prepping for the worst case scenario? Yeah, all the time. So I'm just gonna say salacious headline, but this is really what's happening behind it. It is kind of serious. You know, obviously America, Russia, China were always kind of vying for that the theater seat. Basically, there's only so much space out there, and you want to get the best view of your country or your enemy's country as you can, and those are basically occupied. So you got to find out what spot in space you can go to observe, and they're just kind of figuring out, and I think going up there playing a territorial pissing battle with the superpowers is what's happening. Guys, if you have any more questions about China or want me to answer any more, China, pop it in the chat. We want to hear from you.
Sandy said a super sticker too. Shouts out Sandy. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm gonna have to open up the YouTube stream because we can't see the super stickers in StreamYard. StreamYard's kind of slacking on that, but I can't wait to check out and see what that was. Sandy, we love having you here. We love it. China. Thank you, Zach, for sure.
And we have our guest now backstage. So should we bring him up?
Yeah, without further ado.
Woohoo!
The one and only Pavel.
Pavel, what's up, bro? Uh-oh.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry.
There he is.
Oh, there we go.
What's up, Pavel?
Hi.
What's up, bro?
How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for being here. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah. Actually, we're just about to publish the new Down to Earth today, and we did record for about 20 minutes. So it's going to be a good one.
Dude, nice, man.
Yeah, I love what you guys are doing over there. And if anyone doesn't know, maybe I should pull up a picture of him too. Pavel, how I found out about Pavel was through the Big Thing podcast with Christian Harloff.
The one and only. Christian? Oh yeah, Christian Harloff. I mean, he's been reviewing like some of my favorite films and whatnot and series for a long time. He's been in the mix. He was with Collider for a while, and to see him kind of take on his own thing with the Big Thing podcast and covering all the stuff that he loves, and then knowing that it kind of branched into this kind of paranormal, UFO stuff. I mean, now Christian's even launched his own daily UFO channel, which I think is, again, needed. We need as many as we can get. The people can't get enough of it. But there's good looking Christian right there.
Yeah. I found out about a Christian from in the pandemic. They did Star Wars reviews where they just kind of like reacted to the Star Wars. So it's like you'd play Star Wars in your home, and it's like you had a group of like dudes who are like super into it, right? Would watch it. So that's how I found out about it. And yeah, recently I think because of just the news, right? They started a show and Pavel got connected, and now you guys are doing like a daily show and all that stuff. It's cool to see more and more people getting involved in this community.
Yeah, it's been a little surreal though because well, I've been following Christian for more than a decade, and
Oh,
when I wanted to study, what I wanted to be first was a filmmaker, and I couldn't make it in Guadalajara where the exams are happening there, and I studied communications. But since I can remember, I watched Christian and John Campia and all those guys, and
yeah.
there was this time, there was this moment when I was already a journalist, and I thought that it would be cool to work with those guys someday, you know? And it's really surreal sometimes how you can speak things into existence.
Yeah. So
Weird like that, huh?
did you just reach out to him and you're like, hey, I love UFOs too. Let's
Well, I showed him what I've done, what I had done until that moment, and on my channel Psicoactivo, and he vibed with what I had to show him, and he accepted a call with me, and we started, and I just started collaborating on the big thing, and then he was the one that told me that he wanted to open a channel, and if I wanted to help him out there,
Dude.
it was a no-brainer, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Easy call, man. Easy
my man
call.
Christian. I said this the other day on Twitter, dude. Pavel, I'm so glad you're part of this community. I feel like you're really about to be a bridge between a lot of Latin American ufology stuff. Like I've known you for what, a few months now, maybe. And I've already learned so much about like Mexican ufology and stuff. And I'm Mexican American. That yeah, I'm just glad you're in the mix now.
Thanks, man. I do think that there's a major divide and like a language barrier that prevents a lot of material to go to the other side. And I think that maybe I can do something about it. I hope I can at the end of the day, but I'm gonna try. That's for sure.
Heck yeah. So you've been telling me that you're really been fascinated with Jacobo Grinberg, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's see. We have our little thing we made. Where is it at? Oh yeah. Oops. Tibo's already on it. Boom. So tell us a little bit about who this guy is.
yeah. First of all, the one on the right is not Jacobo. It's
Okay. So,
it's a shaman that people are confusing, and there are many conspiracy theories that Jacobo is this shaman, but is not. Jacobo
Oh,
is missing and has been missing since 1994. And his story is fascinating because of the field where he worked. He founded the Mexican Institute of Consciousness, and this happened after many years of studying Mexican shamans and the nature of reality. And he came up with many theories. He came up with many different ways of training your mind, but he took like the scientific approach.
Pablo, real
He
quick.
always,
When
yeah.
you were on Patrick Vetted, a friend of the show, I heard you say something about like shamanism is kind of like legalized, or there's like an official government structure to that in Mexico and maybe even Texas. Could you break down like what a shaman is and how that?
No, I was talking about the peyote plants
Oh,
in
okay.
the north of Mexico and south of the US. There's like a protected area of peyote that is federally protected on both sides, and only people who are native to the land have access to it. If you're a foreigner and try to get in there, you'll be jailed instantly because this plant is considered a sacred plant, and it's like one of the biggest traditions of the Native Americans of the area.
Wow, fascinating. So how you said he founded the Mexican Institute of Consciousness, and I think I talked to you about this too, where that reminded me of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, Edgar Mitchell kind of vibe, like one of
absolutely.
these organizations. And then you're telling me that they actually knew each other, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
Can you
I
tell?
didn't know this until a day before I spoke to Patrick. Just watching that documentary directed by Ida Cuellar, and I saw those pictures, and I blew my mind. because I did speak to Nick Cook about the doctor when I had him on my channel, and I asked him if maybe there was a connection between whatever happened to the doctor, or maybe he knew something. I was talking about Dr. Hal Puthoff, because we know he was involved with the Stargate project and the remote viewing program.
Yeah, good question.
And Nick Cook was like, probably, maybe, I don't know, but you need to be very careful in the way you approach him and ask him about this, because if it's sensitive information, he's not going to tell you anything, one. And two, he probably signed a lot of NDAs if it's a classified project. So you're not going to get much out of him if even if you tried. And I did realize this early on, because I know it's a sensitive subject. There's a reason he disappeared and nobody knows about him. There's a reason the Mexican government halted the investigation twice
Hmm.
within the last 30 years. I mean, there's something that he discovered that they don't want us to know about. That's for sure. But I want to focus. When I realized that I couldn't go too far into the investigation to what happened, I realized that I needed to focus on his work and similar theories and people who also worked on consciousness. And that's when I started talking to people that are dedicated to this.
So go for it, Tuba.
Well, I just want to ask, like, in your research because obviously the study of consciousness, like there's certain names that come up. Did Itzhak Bentov ever come up with Grin?
Yeah,
right. Like,
of course.
And are you familiar with the way Itzhak Bentov died?
Yeah, it was like a plane accident, right?
Yeah, it was the Chicago O'Hare like plane disaster.
Yeah.
It was the deadliest airline related disaster that happened in America until 9/11. So
What a
like,
coincidence, huh?
and he was on his way to go talk about consciousness to a bunch of scientists in Japan. That's what he was doing when the plane crashed. And
Yeah,
so
Greenberg was on his way to do an experiment that would have given him the Nobel Prize. I guarantee it. And he disappeared.
Fishy.
He didn't even take the plane that he was going to take. So
got chills from that, man.
Yeah,
that is pretty wild. You were telling me too that you kind of got into his ufology side, right? So he was a consciousness guy and a ufology guy, right? And here's a picture.
I didn't know.
Yep.
I didn't know that he was. I knew, I had a sense, and I tried to tie it up into ufology, because every road I took kept taking me to Dr. Puthoff and this Stargate project, all the declassified CIA documents where they had been keeping tracks on the doctor for decades. And then it was like the 20th or 21st time I watched that documentary, and I saw this picture, and I paused it, and I was like, how could I miss this the first 20 times? What the hell? And then I saw Dr. Jack Valet, and then I saw John Keel, and I was like, damn, this is what I was looking for all this time. So yeah.
And
And then
Jacques
I
Vallée,
asked,
like, these are big names. John Keel and Jacques Vallée are big names, and they're big names within ufology, but also because Vallée definitely, he subscribes to the idea that this is not aliens from another planet, that this has something to do with us consciously. There's something, the UFO phenomenon meaning, right? And it wasn't until I read the Mothman Prophecies by Keel that I was able to really connect and realize how many things connect between paranormal, consciousness related phenomena and the UFO phenomena. Like, there's a lot of crossover there. So him being in this photo with these two guys is huge.
and the guy in the far left is he has a really weird name, but he worked with Dr. Puthoff on the MK Ultra program. I can't recall the name because it's really weird.
Is it SETI?
No, it's something like Andreas or
Andrea Puharic.
That's him.
Yes, very fast.
Red from
on the
way
far
back.
left.
From way back.
Yeah, dude, on the far left.
Yeah, and for the room, and it kind of ties into everything. It actually makes perfect sense that he would be there. Andrea Puharic was he was studying like mushrooms, I think, in the 50s, and doing a lot of early consciousness stuff, and basically was a big influence on Edgar Mitchell to create the Institute of Noetic Sciences. He actually connected Edgar Mitchell with Uri Geller. Right? Say what you will about Uri Geller. A lot of opinions about that. but that's how that connection happened. So it totally makes sense that he'd be mingling with everybody in this table, right? Because like you said, there's the nuts and bolts side, but John Keel and Jacques Vallée are definitely not nuts and bolts side of ufology, I would say, and definitely not Andrea Puharg. This is the guy who was channeling the Nine. You remember that, Tupa? That whole saga. And
Oh, really?
he was on some Stranger Things stuff where he was like looking for like star kids all around the world. And
Yeah, he was.
yeah,
Dude, how often the Stranger Things kind of comes up in this phenomenon, I think is crazy. But I'm gonna here's for you guys real quick. Here's a list of names that are in this photograph. If you guys want to look this up, right? These are some names, and obviously down there too we have Grinberg, but that Andrea Puharich is new for me, man.
Oh, really? He's on my list. I have such a long list of to do documentaries. I want to do like an hour and a half documentary about this dude because super, like I said, from like the 50s until he died, he was all into like consciousness, Faraday cage stuff. Very, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Pavel, I heard on your thing too about your anomalous experience, and it kind of ties into Edgar Mitchell too. Even it reminded me of something that happened with him. Can you maybe tell the audience about what happened with the stone thing?
Yeah. Well, I was like a teenager, early teens. I don't recall exactly the age because it's kind of fuzzy. I used to attend some self-help courses that my mom organized in my house where I grew up. And there was this time in which my mom was like trying to experiment with peyote. And they brought a Mexican shaman from the north of Mexico. They call him Maracame. And he came to the house after the peyote trip. And he started like mingling with all the kids and just like allegedly like doing like cleanups on them, like spiritual cleanups. And I was skeptical, obviously, because at the time I really wasn't that open to any of the things that my mom was trying to teach me through these courses of self-help, which is now that I see it, looking back on it, it was like Gestalt. It was very tied into all that philosophy and that school. And uh, well, I was reluctantly just approaching this Maracame, and he was like, "Close your mouth." And before he touched me, he said, "Close your mouth." And he grabbed my face like this, and he started chanting, and I felt like it was warm. It started getting kind of warm all over my face. And then when there was a moment when I felt like a tooth broke out, and my mouth was all the time it was closed, and I was like, "What happened?" And I don't know, maybe he noticed, I don't know, but he was like, he just extended his hand like in front of me like this. And he was like, "Spit it out." And there was a little red rock like this size. And I was like, "Where'd that come from?" And he said that it was something that I had to get cleaned up from my body. That's all he said.
Wow. And you didn't feel your mouth was closed, right? You
Yeah.
didn't feel it. What do you think happened there?
I wasn't the only kid that to which he did this to. There were other two kids that nothing happened to them. And over the years, because that's what sent me down my first rabbit hole, right? So when I saw that, I started like looking for myself into different authors, and I found Carlos Castañeda, who I spoke about with Patrick. And I knew that from those books that there's this path of the skinwalker that shamans follow, the ones that want to get into this, and they allegedly get all sorts of different abilities. And one of these abilities has to do with the Pachita's skills of materializing stuff from thin air, which is essentially alchemy. If you want to get specific about it.
Yeah, and this is Carlos Castaneda, correct?
No.
No. Uh-oh.
No.
In the meantime, let's go to this picture instead. The reason I the reason I the connection I said, I don't know if you know this story. I think I might have told you, but and I'll show my channel here. I have a Edgar Mitchell documentary. It's one of my favorite ones I made.
Best one on the internet.
It needs to be redone audio a little bit, not gonna lie, but the reason why Edgar Mitchell is so convinced about Uri Geller, say whatever you want about Uri Geller or Edgar Mitchell, the reason why he said is because he was initially skeptical, and they were at SRI doing those weird tests that we've all seen the footage of, and then Edgar Mitchell was basically like, if you really are psychic, like prove it to me. And basically they were eating ice cream, and then similarly to what Pavel said, Edgar Mitchell said he felt like something in his mouth, and it was like an old lapel that he had from like the military from like 10 years earlier. And he was
Whoa.
like, how the hell did this happen? And it was like blood was going into the ice cream, which I think if it was ever made into a movie, it'd be like a super sick shot, like blood on ice cream. But yeah, I feel like fairly similar to what you were saying, and
Yeah.
fairly similar to like what you were saying about Carlos Castaneda.
I sent you
About,
a picture of him through Twitter, so you can
perfect.
put it up if you
Perfect.
want.
Yeah, let's get this. And
But yeah, I didn't spit any blood. The rock did taste a little bit like how do you say cobre in English? Lead, a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like it had a metallic taste to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's
That
interesting
is
is
Castaneda.
it's interesting you said there was multiple kids at that party who had it happen. And I heard you talking like in the consciousness Mexico side of things, you were saying like Jacobo is like the light side and this guy's like the dark side.
Yeah.
Is that pretty fair? Wow.
Yeah, because this guy in his writing, he was adamant to seek for power. That was like his main thing, you know. And in the road of the warrior, which he calls it that way, the warrior needs to renounce to everything in order to seek power. And that sounds very familiar to the Sith.
Yeah.
In my, I'm a geek, you know.
Yeah.
So, and Greenberg was always like trying to look at the scientific aspect of it, and he always wanted to put family first. And so when his family found out that he went missing, they didn't want to believe that he would have probably made a deal with anyone to just disappear and work for them, because his daughter Estusha, it was everything to him, and they couldn't believe that he would just cut communication with her. So many in his family, if not all, believed for a while that he was dead. But this documentary, I think, opened their eyes a little bit into what could have likely happened.
Is it the documentary that D in chat is saying, The Secret of Dr. Greenberg? Is that the one?
Yes, that's it.
And that's the one you recommend people watch?
Oh yeah, but they don't have subtitles right now because the documentary, it's this language barrier, I'm telling you. And all I want with this, to be honest with you, aside from trying to see if we have potential to become whatever the doctor thought we could become, is for people to realize that he was on the same level as all the other guys that we've mentioned. And I think he was. And I think he's being largely ignored in the English speaking community. And I know that it's because of the language barrier in part, but also because I think there are those who don't want the story to be out.
Yeah. And like you said, the government shut down the investigation into Jacobo, not on the screen right now, but twice. So it's got to tell you something. Maybe that could walk us into our next story here. You were talking about the Skinwalker phenomenon, right? And Skinwalker Ranch released a new trailer. I don't know if you saw that. We could talk about that a little bit. But we'll just pull this up real quick. So what's your understanding of Skinwalker as related to the people you were talking to us about? And then we could talk about what do you think of Skinwalker Ranch?
Well, I don't. Well, the Skinwalker is just the name, right? But it's like a tradition from shamans in either all of Mexico or Native Americans of essentially conjurers or shamans who could do transfiguration, and they could mix potions and do alchemy and all sorts of stuff. That's the lore, right? Because in today's world, we don't see that as reality. And I think that's because much of this tradition from shamans has been actively tried to be silenced over the hundreds and hundreds of years. because of sadly religious dogma from Europe, and we know this started happening in 1492 when Christopher Columbus came to America, and they decimated the all the cultures here, and there was a lot of tradition there that was instantly killed, either these massacres or disease that came from there and all that. And I know it was like a clash of cultures, and the one that had the better tools and better weapons were the ones that ended up on top and got to tell their side of the story. And that's how it happens with every war, to be honest.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting to hear, and I'm curious to hear more as the time goes on about like shamanism in Latin America still sounds like kind of thriving, maybe even having a resurgence.
I don't know about that, but I hope so. I
Well,
mean,
the
we do.
ayahuasca didn't it's picking up. I mean, everyone's picking up on like what these kind of like ceremonial like sacramental drugs can do
It's
for
like a
people.
Yeah,
trend now, right? For like
Yes.
I don't think
Americans to
it's
go
the
down.
same, to be honest with you. I don't
Mm.
think I think it's more of a like a trend uh that people from the Western world and from the more advanced or technological society wants to know about, but truly shamanism truly is kind of dead, and I
Oh
don't think
wow.
it's going to come back as it was, really, because we live in a materialistic world. If we wanted shamanism to come back, we would have to make like a giant massive movement back in the 50s, because today the technological society and the industrial movement won't allow any of that to happen again.
But Pavel, do you think it's odd that a lot of the people who are let's say filling this trend of using ayahuasca or these kind of like higher learning kind of drugs, a lot of them are the at the tip of the spear in the like Silicon Valley. Like a lot of
Yeah,
these guys that are big thinkers, even the guys that work with AI, I know for sure, I know for a fact that they're organizing these like almost faux shamanistic experiences to like look for new information. So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that technology and society is kind of crushing the shamanistic viewpoint, but there's some kind of like I don't know. That's how I view it anyway. It's some kind of intuitional or instinctual, like reaching back to it still. Like you can't shake it, even though our society is kind of rejecting it. Something is still beckoning back to it. Do you see any
yeah,
threads like
they
that?
call it techno shamanism, right?
Yeah, I think they do.
Believe this. And that kind of ties into Esalen Institute. I don't know. We'll probably get to it tomorrow. Jack Sarfati was in a space. Esalen Institute was this thing that was like near the Bay Area, and they were all doing shrooms and acid and doing physics. And a lot of the Silicon Valley people do go up there, and still to this day, you hear Alex Jones talk about it. They go there, they get all loose and freaky with some drugs, and maybe feel like they're interfacing with some kind of like, yeah. So I think that's like a modern shamanism thing.
Yeah, I think personally that we shouldn't trust uh we shouldn't put too many eggs on the basket of technology, if I'm being honest with you. I know that it's kind of inevitable at this point, but I also think that many of the traditions that were the physical ones and the spiritual ones and the mental ones are the ones that are more uh are going to help us advance as a species more than technology. And if we can create like a balance between all four, maybe we would have a chance. But I see a lot of people leaning a little bit too much on technology, and I think there should always be a balance. That's what I truly believe.
I totally agree. Let's get some background music real quick. Let's get some hype up. So we're gonna do a little transition into the Skinwalker Ranch trailer. But before we do, and before we hear Pavel's thoughts on it in the live chat, what do you guys think of Skinwalker Ranch? Is it a psyop? Is there something really happening there? Is it government testing on unbeknown citizens, like friend of the show Chris Bartell would say, who worked at Skinwalker Ranch? Maybe we'll have him on soon. Let me know what everyone thinks about Skinwalker Ranch. What do you think, Tupa? Before we get into it, just broad before you watch the trailer.
Oh, Raw Skinwalker Ranch. What's my viewpoint on it? Like, I think it has a lot to do with, you know, I don't know if it's a hot spot in general. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like the old like culture that was there, right? Get some burial ground or something. I'm just as suspicious that there's some type of technology underground that they're using to calibrate psychotronic weapons, as I am that it's a, you know, ultra non-human phenomena, weak point between the barriers where these non-human intelligence can like look at us and reach in and play games with us in a way to kind of like communicate between the walls of the prison. You know, there's an element there too. And I base it off of all the statements from what we got. Harry Reid, right? We got Bigelow, these people that I kind of like trust. Like Bigelow's super rich, he doesn't got to lie about a lot of stuff.
There's
right?
no denying, and it's weird that without Skinwalker Ranch, there is no OSAP, ATIP, whatever you want to call it, Blue Kona or whatever, none of that. Because people forget that the reason their OSAP was even made was that James Lukatsky, working for the DIA, read George Knapp's book while serving in Iraq, apparently, or Afghanistan, something like that. And then he went to the ranch and had an anomalous experience, was able to convince Harry Reid to get funding for this program that caused all this mayhem that we're in now, right? So it's kind of crazy that no matter what you think of it, it's had an impact. Like it's had a really concrete impact into like everything, whether it's real or not. What do you think, Pavel, real quick, just about the ranch?
I tend to not trust very much when there's a lot of people from the CIA involved, just like a reflex, you know? And I do think that there's a lot of banned or black technology being applied there. That's what I think right now. But if I see something tangible, I maybe change my mind. But for now, I think it's just black ops.
All right. I'm gonna play a little more music and we'll read what the chat thinks before we watch the trailer together. So we asked, what do people think about Skinwalker Ranch? YOY Fool says werewolf smoking, really? And that's a claim. Who made that claim? Tuba? George Knapp?
George Knapp, Eric Davis. I don't know. It's one of these guys, right? There's werewolves there, supposedly. Man wolves.
Alien Girl, friend of the show. Skinwalker Ranch is a secret weapons testing area. Fugel has a spiritual connection to the land, as do most who are involved, i.e. Mormonism. Bigelow sold it because he found nothing. Ooh.
Throwing LDS under the bus. I like that.
Followed up by UFO intros. Friend of the show says, let's go. Love Pavel. Hell yeah.
Good self-censor there, Red. I like that.
Boston Deadhead says, tough one. I'm skeptical of the ranch. Oh, friend of the show, Lou Elizondo is watching today. How's it going, Lou? He says Skinwalker is real.
Well, he owes his whole thing to it, right? Doesn't he? He owes
Anthony Jones, member, says, I believe you, Lou. Heck yeah.
You guys are trolls.
You don't think that's real, Lou?
I thought he was super chatting us. He just gave us the price of his book. That's a
Holy
reminder.
crap.
It's a reminder how much his book is.
Friend of the show, memer for the show. We love his memes. Pepper Gazzoni says, I always mispronounce it. Sorry, bro. If Lou says it's real, it's real. And lastly, we got Spark Zabzak. You would think they could definitely provide tangible evidence for Skinwalker. It's a certain spot. That's the thing, right? It's like the Trust Me Bro location, right? It's like if Trust Me Bro was a place, it's Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah. And then they have these like ways to get around like checks. Like they're like, yo, it shows up differently to each person. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, so if I don't know what to expect, then it could be anything. It's like, oh, do you smell sulfur right now? Then you got a hitchhiker on you, baby. It's like, dude, this is
Ken Reynolds. Before we start this trailer, the ranch is more real than most of the people involved. All right, well, let's watch this trailer for the new season, and we'll see what people think about it.
Okay. Ooh, already creepy.
Go. We are on the cusp of discovering the secret of Skinwalker Ranch. The world is watching.
This season on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
We need to flood Skinwalker Ranch with instruments. Maybe we send 1.6 gigahertz at it.
Maybe we should pause it here and there, just because I think History Channel is kind of intense with their stuff. Well,
History Channel, friend of the show. They're actually in my email right now. They really are. They're emailing.
It's filmed great.
Take that down.
Get it out of here, dude. We need to flood Skinwalker Ranch with instruments. That was Travis Taylor talking right
Travis
now.
Taylor, who was on the UAP task force, who Danny Sheehan has recently said is a disinfo agent. So gotta love the community, right?
This is
Danny
unlike any
Sheehan said
experiment
that?
we've done.
Lou Elizondo's lawyer? Okay.
Yeah, Lil Zonda's lawyer said that this guy is a disinfo agent working for big aerospace to keep the cover up. They were all tied up. Fugel and them were all kind of taking a lot of heat recently because of the whole eminent domain part of the Schumer Amendment. I don't know if y'all remember. Basically would have given the government to the ability to, and the reason why they were opposed to it, to basically just come into Skinwalker Ranch and do whatever, take whatever they want, which honestly the government can already do with anything. So,
well, especially since they funded the research upwards of like $22 million like a while ago, right? But this is my guy right here, right? Travis Taylor. Travis Taylor, a Southern gentleman. He has been part of the show for a while, but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't it get revealed that he was like actually part of some government stuff? Like, and he didn't even reveal that to the people on the show. So, like on the show, they had to confront the fact that, you know, even maybe what Danny Sheehan's saying is kind of true, because this guy was hiding his connections to the government the entire like first season or something like that.
Yeah, so I'll break it down for you, and we should have pulled that, but I don't know, it might be hard to find. Basically, Travis Taylor here, he was part of the UAP task force. So the videos get released in 2017 that we all know, tic tac, go fast, blah blah blah. Afterwards, Congress gets involved. They create the UAP task force, which was like an interagency task force with people from like the NRO, CIA, DIA. They just basically had a bunch of things. Air Force. We're all basically supposed to have like a representative go and investigate these claims of UFOs and whatnot. Travis Taylor was on that. So was Jay Stratton. So was David Grush, right? Everyone knows the whistleblower David Grush. The thing he's whistleblowing on is his time within the UAP task force, right? So now what Tupa's talking about is that nobody knew who was on the UAP task force. And it was actually, I remember when it got, the first two that were announced, I think Carl Nell was on it as well too, but it was Travis Taylor and what's the other guy name? Oh, Jim Stratton.
Jay Stratton.
Jay Stratton, sorry.
Yeah. Weren't they all at the table at the IHOP or whatever?
Yes, they were all at the table, and it was revealed on George Knapp's weaponizer. I remember Stephen Greenstreet was like, "You got to be kidding me! This was who was on the UAP task force." But yeah, so the thing is that he had been on Skinwalker Ranch for like 2 seasons by this point, and I think all of his co-hosts. Well, we're gonna have to pull this up and watch it later this week. But Dragon, I remember Dragon on Skinwalker Ranch. We'll probably see him in the trailer. He was like devastated that like his friend and colleague had been part, and the UAP task force isn't even really that bad. And I guess he couldn't have told them, but still, you're right, Tupa. It was a moment on the show where everyone was like, bro, like you didn't tell us that you were on this and you're here. And it was just, it was weird. It happened.
Real quick, we got a super chat from Alicia Wyatt. Alicia, good to see you. It's always good to have you in the audience. And we're going to take that and we're going to buy Lou's book with it.
Yeah, I'm going to super chat for my man, Lou. And that's, we love you, Lou. We love you here. Friend of the show. Always in the live chat supporting us here at Skyfire News. We appreciate it, bro. All right.
Feels good.
Let's finish this trailer.
Experiment we've done before.
Heads up, they're coming down.
Oh my God. Is there some invisible force causing this to happen?
What is inside the mesa?
Look at that. It's like jelly. I don't know what the hell that is.
That's Dragon. That's the guy who was like heartbroken. You could see it on his face. We got to pull it later this week. He was like, Travis, you didn't tell me, bro. What?
I don't know what the hell that is.
The data shows the triangle could be a wormhole.
No way.
I don't think the public is ready for what you got.
Is the military letting us know we're being watched?
Do they know something we don't? What is that?
The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. New season premieres Tuesday, April 23rd at 10. Part of history's strange and unusual.
Bro, they scrubbed the whole season for those sound bites, dude. Those are the best ones. They like, if you listen to them, they're all the juiciest ones they put right before the commercial break or the episode's over. What do you guys think? I mean, hell of a trailer, new season.
Pavel, any thoughts on this? Yeah.
Well, I've been skeptical of that place forever, to be honest with you. It is a nice show. It is interesting. I did see recently the studies they did on Chris Bledsoe, and when he attracted the orbs, that was interesting. They do have a lot of interesting stuff there, but as I tell you, I think it's if CIA people are involved, I take everything they do with a grain of salt, because I know what they're like, and I know they're probably part of much of the obfuscation of the info on this whole story. and I'm sorry, but I really can't trust the agency, to be honest with you. And I'm sorry, CIA. Don't hurt me, guys.
Yeah, you're a foreigner. They're allowed to hurt you. No, I'm just kidding.
They
Pavel,
come up with all kinds of excuses.
if you were invited, and also chat, this is a question for the chat too. If you guys were invited, Pavel, would you go? Would you go to the
No.
Skinwalker Ranch if they're like, hey, come camp out for a night for a big
Nope.
thing? Nope.
Nope.
And why? Because of the CIA thing, or because it might be kind of spooky? Like ghost type.
Well, as I probably said, if you guys didn't see the episode with Patrick, I already know that telepathy is real because I experienced it. I don't care what people tell me. I know what I experienced. I've corroborated it with other people involved when it happened. And given that it's real, I refuse to lend my mind to any external force. And by the looks of it, if you go there, weird shit happens to you mentally and psychically. So hard pass.
Chuba, what about you? If they're like, hey, come to Skinwalker Ranch,
Right.
spend a night with UFO Shane under the stars of the Mesa. Are you going?
You couldn't drag me there. There's no way.
There's
no way. It's like there's a couple places that just seem like, whatever's going on, it's exciting, deep parts about people, right? That like maybe they're suppressed, maybe there's some, like there's some technology there, or there's an unknown, chemical reaction or whatever. There's something's going on where it's taking these things that people need, and it's like putting them right on the forefront. I remember Jesse Michael's story is one of the ones that like weirded me out the most. So
the sulfur.
Yeah, the smell of sulfur. So Jesse Michaels, host
Friend
of
of the show.
friend of the show, actual friend of Red's, like he host of American Alchemy, great podcast. This guy went to check out the Skinwalker Ranch, and I think he's somewhat skeptical, but he had an open mind, and he was there for a little while, walked around, and he began to smell sulfur. Now, someone he was with had a sulfur detector on him, and then because I guess this is a common phenomenon there, and they like ran the test. There was no sulfur in the air. It was not picking up a single little bit of sulfur at all. So now Jesse has to figure out, why is he smelling this? He doesn't really get it. But sulfur is a well-known, like documented, like smell for these weird paranormal experiences. It's just reported all the time. The weird part is that Jesse said that he left the ranch and then he proceeded to have the worst month of his entire life.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Right.
that part.
Yeah, and he said he
totally
came out
did.
of it. He came out of it like better, but like it was awful. And you got to wonder, dude. Like that's the kind of stuff that we hear about with this phenomenon, with the hitchhiker effect. It's not going to just show you like a tubular bell or an alien or a werewolf for no reason. It's going to draw parts out of your person, out of your life, and it's going to expose them. Is what it looks like. And I don't mean like expose to the world, but I mean to yourself. It could challenge you. It could do these things, and that's where I do feel like this phenomenon does have like some type of connection, right? That is to the spiritual world of some kind, or some type of like conscious realm. Because if it can do that, if it can create these instances, if it can pull these moments from you and try to get you to be better afterwards, that's a big thing. I don't need to go to a place for that. It's 2024. We lived through COVID. I mean, like we were challenged. I'm challenged enough. I don't got to go to the little like spot in the Uinta Basin to figure that out. But that's me. That's me.
I am not grabbing any bull by no horns. Fuck that.
No.
Yeah, it's as, and for me, I would probably say no. Although I probably could end up being convinced, if I'm being honest.
Dude, if
But,
I go with Post Malone, I'll go. I mean,
yeah.
if he's going. Like,
But yeah, like what Jesse said, right?
Or,
He had the worst
or
month of
Joe
his life.
Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah. I think he already went to Skinwalker Ranch back with his one show. But yeah, I'd be like equally sketched out about the phenomenon, quote unquote, or being psychotronically tested on or attacked. I got up here, Chris Bartel, friend of the show. He worked there for years, and the conclusion he got was basically that there was maybe some anomalous stuff for sure, but not that much. And if anything, what there was more of was like him and the other security dudes being used as kind of guinea pigs without their consent or knowledge, right? Maybe being tested on with psychotronic weapons, or even as far as the phenomena goes, like let's just put a human right here where we know like cattle get mutilated all the time and see what happens and not tell them. So I don't know, man. I think love, hate Brandon Fugel, friend of the show. What you can say is he's been way more open with this whole ranch than Bigelow was. So there's got to be something worth that. Yeah, let's see what some of the people in chat said. Actually, let's get some good spooky music too.
Oh, I like having music in the back of these. It does help. It really does.
Right? It really
Dude,
does.
we got D asking is Pavel on Twitter? He is, and he's great on Twitter. And I shared his Twitter account right there. Hope that's cool, Pavel. Find him, follow him, retweet his stuff. You guys are gonna see like news there every day, like that you just wouldn't have seen otherwise. That's why we love Pavel, dude. Like it's awesome. We got Real Alien Hunter in the mix. You should not be doing a show on the subject. Well, we did. So the cat's out of the bag. We got Crystal. Who even are you? I like that I'm accidentally picking up drama just by trying to find chats. More reference of Skinwalker Ranch and the Wolfman.
Ocean wants to go. Let me run free at Skinwalker. I want to smoke with the Wolfman.
Okay.
I want to offer the Wolfman a smoke. That's kind of a... Why not?
Oh, hell no.
LOL. Craigie G Cool says, I'd love to go. Real Alien Hunter says, OMG, you guys are chicken.
Yeah.
LOL.
Well, he's a real alien hunter, right? That's you guys. He's out there with a samurai sword and some holy water. He's really doing it.
And Real Alien Hunter says, I would go there in a second. So yeah, he's a Real Alien Hunter. We're not.
Yep, he's the real
that's
deal.
what I was going to say. Someone told us who it was, but it was like, if you go and try and act alpha, the phenomenon will check you or something like that. And it's like,
that sounds like something like Chris Wolford would say. Shout out to Chris Wolford, friend of the show. But those cryptic, like, yo, it's gonna like it'll find you. Who knows?
You know what? This is a great question. Why not, Pavel? Since you're here, Peppery goes in, friend of the show, says, does Pavel have any chupacabra lore? Do you have any thoughts on chupacabras?
No. I did follow the story when I was little, and I grew scared of the chupacabra. But when I grew up, I realized it was most likely a hoax, so I stopped following it. It was interesting to see all those animals just dying from Central America all the way to the center of Mexico, and it was really weird because the animals did have two holes in them and all, but it was later proven to be a hoax, and I stopped following it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Cryptids are fun. I think cryptids are like the funnest of the paranormal subjects, right? Like I love like finding new animals, the idea that there's stuff out there. But yeah, that chupacabra thing bounced around from like I remember I bought a shirt in Tijuana when I must have been like 12 years old, you know what I mean? And it had this look to it. And then I remember seeing clips of the so-called chupacabra, and it was like just a hairless dog with mane just running through the streets. I'm like, that does not strike the same cryptid value in there, but it's still a cool one. If you had to pick, what's your favorite cryptid? If you have it,
mine,
yeah.
Do dragons count as cryptid?
Yes, absolutely. Dragons count.
Dragons,
dude. I got to remember the guy's name, but he was talking on Joe Rogan about the possible existence of dragons in Earth's history, and I think there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot to be said there, right?
Like well, the Beowulf history, it kind of delves into a little bit of reality, a little bit of myth. But I do love that whole Beowulf story. To anyone who wants to read it, it's really cool. It's really interesting.
Isn't Beowulf considered one of the first myths too, right? One of the first hero's journey stories.
Yeah.
All
right, Tom, let's get to this next story real quick, and we'll see what Pavel thinks about it. This is YouTube, so tell us about this.
Tom DeLong did an interview. Now, we all know Tom DeLong, the guitar player for Blink-182, turned ufologist, right? He talked about ufology a lot. He really did. In little interviews, his bandmates, and we heard about it for a while, but he would drop these like kind of cryptic hints that he's like really working behind the scenes. And then 2017 happened. And before the article even came out, the big article from the New York Times, the DNC email leaks happened, which were a big deal. I mean, the media picked up on it. Everyone was in on trying to figure out what that was, unless you were Chris Cuomo, in which you couldn't look at the papers. What a jackass. Shout out to Chris Cuomo. So the real interesting thing about Tom DeLong and these email leaks is that John Podesta's emails got leaked, and in those emails were correspondence with Tom DeLong about the UAP issue. Literally, like, Tom, we got to have you. We want to like basically attract the youth in the world with you for UAPs, and you're our guy. And he's like, hell yeah, dude, I wrote a song called Aliens Exist in like 1998. Like, get me on the team. So we found out that he officially was, you know what I mean, talking with government officials, generals, all kinds of people about the UFO topic. And I think he earned a lot of our respect for that, because at first we didn't know, you know what I mean? And so what he said in this interview that he was talking with, let's see if I can find like some of these little clips. What he said was just essentially that he was groomed, that it was a thing where like people were kind of courting him, you know, that it wasn't just a one-time thing. He didn't get approached by John Podesta once or Chris Mellon once, that there was a process, a long process of like, you know, getting him used to the idea, and also of like turning his his public appearance. I mean, he is who he is, and that's his strength, right? But being more professional to like be able to have these meetings, right, with politicians, with generals, with media people. And he really did. I think he turned his act around. But he was, you know, it was like after that, I would call it a remake or a makeover, that he was on stage for TTSA, right? Which he basically is heading a company with Jim Semivan, Hal Puthoff, Lou Elizondo, all these people, all these big names in ufology. He's at the forefront of a company where they're part of it, and he's supposed to be rolling out anything from movies to books to actual UFOs. TTSA has since changed its name to just it was To the Stars Academy at first. Now it's To the Stars, I think, just entertainment, and they're producing some film versions of their books with Legendary Media, which is they made Dune. It's going to be huge. And their books are like the Secret Machines, like book series, which are all about government. It's essentially, it's like disclosure, but through a fake story, through a narrative, through a myth, right? It's disclosure via narrative, because they can say if it was fake, they don't have to say that they were like spilling the beans. Is kind of the thing. So be on the lookout for that stuff. But it's been a long time coming. It's 2024 now, right? We found out about Tom DeLonge being involved with Podesta back in 2016, 2017, and how long even before then was he talking to these guys? So maybe that idea of being groomed, while it sounds kind of crazy, especially after that documentary came out, in this instance, I think it's just like they were courting him for a while.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in some stuff here too. People kind of don't give Tom DeLonge his credit and respect, in my opinion. In many ways, he could be looked at as like a black vault, and a lot of people don't know this. He had one of the first online website depositories for UFO stuff in like the early internet. He got, like I said, I have a really good documentary series on Tom DeLonge and his beliefs. I would say he's probably been groomed too. But he was really into the UFO subject here. We clipped this on Skyfire a while back. Here's him talking about UFOs
So,
in the 80s.
Oh, shit, you want to get me started on UFOs?
But just that one story.
All right. Well, I have a friend that's been working to out like the secrecy of UFOs for like 10 years. And
anybody know who he's talking about?
Jim Semivan?
Nope. So this is another interesting thing where, and I could see why he would say I feel groomed, because him and Greer were tight. Tight.
Oh, I forgot.
That's right.
For like decades, he would bring Greer and Greer's daughters to his shows back during like the Blink heydays.
Oh my
God! This was during the disclosure. Like, you got to think, peak Greer and peak Blink 182 are like at the same exact time, right? So Greer was giving him a lot of these footage that now we all see on YouTube, right? But people didn't have access to it back then. These interviews that Greer would do with people that worked on programs and whatnot. So this is who he's talking about here. But yeah,
I met up with him on the East Coast, and I asked him what he was doing, wondering if there's anything I could do to help or whatever. And he spent 10 years filming like over 500 top secret witnesses that work for the government. And they all work for like, you know, everywhere from CIA to Lockheed Martin to Boeing Corporation to the Defense Intelligence Agency, the NSA and the NRO. These are all like spy agencies and stuff. And all these people are talking and they're on camera because they understand that this videotape is what's going to get them to be able to testify in front of Congress. And so they're all talking about a lot of things about aliens and UFOs from people that were in charge of like our whole nuclear missile inventory. They were in charge, people that worked.
And see, this is what I talk about. Tom needs his credit, bro. People love to discount that Grush testified in front of Congress. Oh, nothing's happening. No big deal. People have been wanting this for decades, dude. This is like 2002, probably, in this video. And like the idea of a dream of people testifying in front of Congress, right? about UFO stuff. I mean, I think Tom honestly should get a lot of credit for that, although he didn't build the spaceship, which people love to call him out on,
Sure.
right? And
It's a big promise.
so yeah, my point being here is that he was really interested in UFOs for a long time, and the grooming I think happened where, much like Gary Nolan, I'm not saying Gary Nolan was groomed, and much like Danny Sheehan, there's this like group and subset of people that went from like being Greer's people and like Greer's boys, if you will, to like now being like Elizondo Mellon. And I wonder if that's kind of what he's referencing, because also within my documentary I cover where he wanted to help bring about disclosure, blah 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 blah. His movie wasn't as good, but he went to Lockheed Martin on some celebrity stuff, right? Like all these big companies will have like Kesha come perform at their like Christmas party, and he said he would do it if he got to sit down with some of the executives there and like talk about whatever he wanted, and then through that is kind of how these connections started. So not only in the Wikipedia or the WikiLeaks that Tubo was talking about, was he talking to John Podesta? He was talking with heads of Lockheed Martin. He was talking with generals. General Neil McCaslin comes to mind, who was running the reverse engineering thing at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So all in all, that just being saying that I think I could see why he would feel like he was groomed.
Well,
Especially-
let's
go for it.
let's just take a look at what we're seeing there, right? Bring that, but
bring it back?
bring me back 2002 Tom DeLong.
Yes,
Now
sir.
imagine 2002 Tommy Boy walking into a meeting with Jim Simivan or Hal Puthoff, dude. Like they couldn't have that. But imagine if you're these guys who want disclosure to happen and need to maybe force or be aggressive and try to corner the government into allowing it to happen. The idea of a rock star in his peak, in his prime, being interested, being fascinated, self-educating on what this stuff is supposedly, right? That's a gold mine. And so like, but look how rough, and I'm just being honest here. I know this isn't a makeover show, but like, look how rough around the edges this guy is to be able to go and do what they wanted him to do. Now look at Tom DeLong, even though, you know, like, I mean, it's not just a style and a modern change. He really does present a little bit different. He's been coached. Like, look at him after his Joe Rogan appearance. You know, he's a lot more tame. When he
I could
was
have
on,
swore I literally heard him say after that he got like media training, because like that.
I would not doubt it for a second. He was hyped on things. He wasn't listening to Joe Rogan. He wasn't reading Joe's disinterest or disbelief and stuff. He like continued to be like the hype man. Just believe me, bro. And if he would have just been more present, I think, in those moments with Joe and those things, that even if he was excited about those videos he was excited about, he would have came off a lot better. But yeah, it was after that all of a sudden we hear about Lou Elizondo. He's in the mix, and then Tom kind of comes back sparingly, and now he's doing a podcast with Jim Simivan every once in a while. We get a new episode of that, which one dropped recently. I definitely suggest going and checking it out. It's on the TTSA or TTS site over there. But yeah, I think like he's been groomed. He's been trained. He has media training. He has like all that stuff is definitely present. I'm not saying that he's not a smart guy or doesn't deserve his credit. He definitely does. But when you look at that Tom versus the Tom we have now, I can see why he'd said that.
Right, that Tom to this Tom. I'm just gonna leave the audio off, but this is from my documentary. A little bit of 9/11.
Nice lighthearted clip there.
9/11. But so Tom went from hanging out with Greer and going camping with Greer to this group, right? And I think this is the groomed Tom, maybe you could say it too, but right?
Oh yeah, that's groomed
sitting
Tom.
on stage.
Steve Justice.
Oh yeah.
You know, guys, the very first time I heard about the long story related to UFOs, I heard Grant Cameron talking about it, and it's an old video from some convention, and that's when I realized that Tom had like jumped from one camp to the other, right? But I do think that it's like a combination of things. It's clout, which Tom obviously has. He's a rock star. But also, he's been reading all kinds of stuff since he was little.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you he read Plato, he read Stephen Hawking, he read Carl Jung, all the different types of philosophies that need to be understood. I can guarantee you he read a lot of history, a lot of religion history. So the dude understands what's happening, really, you know. I wouldn't doubt that for a minute. I think that's why they sort of picked him, because he was like a unique kind of person to do this. I don't think any other celebrity or person from the government or influencer would have been able to do what he did. And yeah, I when I started my podcast and I started talking about this with my friends in the Spanish version, every time I mentioned Tom DeLonge, they were immediately rolled their eyes and they were like, "The Rockstar? Like, what are you talking about?" And I understand the skepticism, and I do think and I hope that Rogan can have him back so they can have a real conversation now. You know,
Same.
because
yeah,
the first time it was just one way, and Rogan was dismissing everything. And granted, I know that Tom couldn't say much at the time, but now he can, and he can say a lot more. And it did give me a little bit of hope when I saw Dr. Diana Pasolka on Rogan. I think that that's a step in the right direction, if you ask me. When I saw Jack Valle on Rogan, I kind of felt that Valle wouldn't spill too much because he's trained like that. I mean, he's one of the smartest people in the world, so he's not gonna spill any beans on Rogan.
Yeah. And he's old and wise now too, so he's not going to get like ran around or tricked or whatever. Like he seems to be like in his gray beard stage where he just knows better. So I think you're right. I'd love to see if you guys want to see Tom DeLonge back on Joe Rogan, let us know. I mean, we're dying.
And let's get Tom DeLonge on Skyfire News. Everyone go tag him on Twitter. He loves Tupa. He loves Tupa's work.
Big fan. He's retweeted me several times.
I personally feel
quickly unretweeted me.
There's been multiple of these organizations since 2017, and I feel like Tom might be feeling a little jaded these days, right? Because it started off with TTSA, and then they kind of cut him out and made, what was that one? Oh my gosh. Whoa. I didn't even realize how close the name was. Wasn't it Skyfort? The Elizondo little thing, the little like Elizondo TTSA he made.
No wonder Elizondo's in this chat.
Oh,
right now,
dude, I never realized that. Holy cow, that's crazy. Do you remember this, Pavel? Skyfort? It was like a media outreach thing. It's when McGowan was kind of with that group.
No, I don't. I'm very much not aware of a lot of stuff that happened behind the doors.
Yeah, so it was a cool organization. They really lobbied for. They closed after the first congressional hearing. They're like, we did our job, da da da. And then now, my point being is, it's usually the same core group of people, but every time they do a little reorg, they like shed some people, get some people. Tom DeLonge has kind of been on the outs. Like he wasn't a part of Skyfort. He's not a part of the Soul Foundation, right? You know what I mean? So maybe that's why he's like kind of being more open with this kind of sentiment lately. I don't know.
I think also he already feels like he did his part in a way, because he's focusing on the all the movie and series productions and getting the company where it is. And those books, man, the Secret Machines, but the nonfiction ones, those are like Bibles of everything that's happening with Peter Levenda. And I think that he must feel and should feel proud of what he's accomplished with that alone, you know. But he's already accomplished so much.
Yeah. Unlimited in the chat real quick. They said, on Wild Ride, Tom said he got in trouble for the Rogan interview. He said that was the last interview he was allowed to do for a long time. I totally believe that, and I think I've heard multiple people say that. That interview really like freaked a lot. Like, I think everyone on this stage probably when they saw that interview was like, damn it. You know what I mean? And for the room, we got Tom DeLonge, Chris Mellon, the quote-unquote puppet master, for better or worse.
Oh, we're going left to right. Yeah, dude.
Lou Elizondo, friend of the show. Steve Justice, who was the head of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. Hal Puthoff, who ran the CIA Project Stargate program. And then we got Jim Semivan. And Jim Semivan's low-key a real one. He's like the only one who's still kind of in the mix with Tom, it seems.
Oh yeah, he seems super nice, and he's like, I think he's super into like the Bledsoes. He's still hanging out, but yeah, Jim Sim. I like his podcast with Tom DeLonge. I think they have a great rapport together. What podcast was it that Jim Semivan revealed that he had an experience, and that like, I'll tell you the experience real quick. Basically, a while ago, Jim Semivan had a friend pass away, and then what happened was that night. And I don't think he was there for it or whatever. He just kind of heard that it happened. That night, he went to bed with his wife, woke up middle of the night, and a little creature with like a hooded cloak thing comes like walking in his room, stares at him, and he's like up. He wakes up and like looks, And then he said all he could think of was, well, that was weird. I better go back to bed. Then he does go back to bed, forgets all about it. There was other things that happened that he tried not to really reveal, and I want to pry. But he said like basically him and his wife had it was a big thing. Woke up, they couldn't figure it out, and then this is where it gets interesting. Jim Stimivan spoke to one of his friends who's over at the ARE Institute, which is the institute surrounding the work and readings of American sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce. There's a whole institution of Virginia Beach, right, where this institute is, and Virginia Beach is right where Ryan Graves, the pilot, and Ryan Graves' squad was seeing these cubes within sphere UFOs, UAPs off of the coast of Virginia Beach, about 5-7 miles. So yeah, strange that like Virginia Beach, Edgar Cayce, Jim Stimivan, all this stuff is kind of like coming together. But when he spoke to his friend over at the ARE, his friend was the one who suggested, hey, Jim, you might have had an extraterrestrial experience. You want to look into this. And he did. And when he looked into it, that's when he was like, this is an experience. He realized that something had happened, something significant. So yeah, that was a strange thing to find out. That was about 2 years ago that he spilled the beans.
Yeah, and UAP Toronto, we don't got the clip, but we got a quote of what he said about experience on Discovery Channel. He said, and these entities came into our bedroom through the ceiling, through the walls by a portal or something. When we woke up, there was blood everywhere. Yeah, pretty wild. You didn't know about that, Pavel, huh? No. Yeah, so it's pretty traumatic, I would say. I would be traumatized.
Damn.
And I'm pretty sure it was their blood. It's very, very strange. He's also obsessed with the blood cells. But yeah, Tupa, is that about it, or do you want to do this Fred Valentich one
guys,
too?
we got a conspiracy for you guys. Maybe you haven't heard of, and I'm excited to show you guys. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into it.
It's time for the conspiracy of the day.
I like that we get like a long buffer with that bumper. I'm a huge fan of it. Okay, so the Frederick Valentich disappearance. This happened in Australia. So what happened is in October 21st, 1978, right? Valentich vanished during a flight from Melbourne Airport over to another island, King Island in Australia, completely vanished. What makes this interesting and related to this conspiracy is that there's a recording, an audio recording from his plane before it disappeared, in which he reports seeing a silvery object, a metallic object with lights around it. The recordings are really choppy, but you can clearly hear him say it, and it just led all the investigations to think like, okay, something fishy has happened. This isn't a normal thing. And this wouldn't be the first sighting, right, that happened in an airplane while on flight that led to a disappearance that included a sighting like this. Again, 78's, kind of in the mix. There was a couple more that happened in the 80s, but yeah, this one's wild. Like his final transmission reported unidentified aircraft accompanying him. Right. So he's experiencing engine trouble, electronic malfunctions while he's being kind of like followed by a UAP. The incident occurred over the Bass Strait Triangle. So more triangles, more water. It's notorious for missing ships and planes, dude. So Valentich was only 20 years old when this happened. He had limited flying experience, so that's not, he wasn't no pro out there doing it. So a rookie pilot flying in rough areas known for disappearing ships and planes, you might not get the best result, right? So something could happen. They haven't found him. The last recording is him saying that he's being followed by something like a flying saucer. How many more cases like this exist that didn't receive national attention? Has the FAA been like holding this down? I mean, we know for a while, right, that the FAA was having to report their UFO sightings from the pilots directly to Bigelow Aerospace. We found that on 60 Minutes, right, in like 2017, with that famous, now famous interview with Bigelow. It was in which he says he knows aliens are real. They're right under our noses. So bizarre, right? So my question to you guys is like, how many pilots do you think experience these things that it just doesn't get reported, whether they don't self-report it or if it leads to catastrophe? Will we ever find out about it?
And I got some of this audio real quick. Let's listen to it.
Juliet, is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet? No known traffic. Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000 feet. What type of aircraft is it? I cannot confirm. It's 4 bright, seems to be like landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above. Is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity? No known aircraft in the vicinity. Seems to be playing some sort of game. He's flying over me. Delta Sierra Juliet. It's not an.
Oh, Heather Birdie in the chat. This is not the real audio. We got fooled. We got had.
We got had, guys. I was wondering because I was like, I did hear something and it was way choppier than that. Sorry to burst your guys' bubble, but wasn't that audio creepy? I mean, you know what I mean? It was creepy, super creepy. Now, like, we do have some graphics for this case. Let's see. Oh, that's actually Tom DeLong. Whoops. Yeah. So this is the case. This is the case. It's an older one, but it's notorious, right? The audio we can imagine. We'll have to imagine what that sounds like. But again, like, I mean, Red, do you know of any other cases that took place in the late 70s? Any kind of sightings that were happening in Australia around that time?
Let me think. In Australia around that time, no. But what I can't think of is Colaris, right? It was the late 70s.
Yep.
That's my personal quote unquote favorite case, just because I think there's a lot of evidence, but it's actually pretty horrible. People got.
Well, I mean, yeah, people died, right? Colaris is strange
there
because there were sightings, but there was also direct contact between people reported injuries and death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, in the late 70s, this is all I put all the late 70s things together. You had that UN push, and then you also had the WOW signal. Sometimes I wonder if the WOW signal was in relation to the UN push, and maybe the UN push got cut because of the WOW signal. Maybe, maybe not. What else happened in the late 70s?
Well, that's when Itzhak Bentoff's plane crashed over right after taking off in.
I got one.
Okay.
There's one that happened in Mexico, in Acapulco, in 1976. A pilot called Rafael Pacheco Perez. He was apparently kidnapped telepathically by aliens while he was piloting the plane. And there's audio of what the alleged aliens were saying, and they sent out a message very similar to what the kids in Zimbabwe got.
No way.
Yeah.
Which was like, take care of the planet, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Technology is bad.
Yeah. I can send you the link. It's in Spanish, but it's from one of the biggest newspapers in Mexico. It's called El Heraldo de Mexico. And
I would love
let
to
me
see
send
that.
it to you. I'm going to send it to you right now, Red.
Okay.
Yeah, guys. Okay, we're finding out news. This is why we have these kind of conversations, like in live streams, dude. It's so good to find out about new cases and new stuff you didn't hear, especially from different countries, dude.
And what did I say about Pavel, dude? He's gonna bring the bridge, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Do I think AI is going to help that too? I think AI being able to like auto translate so that people can watch with faith without having to have that language barrier is going to be so big.
All right, we can watch this in Spanish though, so the language barrier is back.
We're back, baby.
I think it'd be interesting, and for people that are just listening, sorry, but I feel like we should let it play in Spanish a little bit.
Yeah. For all you Spanish speakers out there,
it has
enjoy.
English over, I think, right?
Como si aquella persona fuera alguien totalmente diferente.
A este individuo para hacerles llegar un mensaje.
No se escucha como usted. Entiendo. Usted está diciendo que el piloto está en estado hipnótico.
Pavel, do you mind if we pause periodically and you can kind of fill our listeners in on what we're missing?
Yeah, this is actually like a representation of the audio. It's not the real audio.
Okay.
I was like, it was like really fast when I looked for it, but
there's a transcript though, so this is like recreated from the transcript.
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough for me.
Okay, so play a little more.
Nos está transmitiendo el mensaje, ¿correcto?
Carlos no creía mucho en lo que escuchaba. No quería que el miedo se apoderara de él. Y con firmeza pidió.
Well, I think that might have just been the only audio from it, but very interesting nonetheless. Sorry, that's a little rough, guys.
I had a good time learning about it. Pavel, I'm going to ask you for more info on that. We'll dive deeper in it later, and especially since it's Spanish speaking, and we have you to help us like kind of guide through, and then we could be the English audience or outlet for some of these multicultural cases.
I bet I can find something translated. It's from 76. There must be something.
Oh yeah.
I'll look for it and I'll let you know.
Sure. And we're definitely gonna have you back on, bro. If you're down, if you had fun.
Oh yeah.
This is a great time.
doubt.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, this is really fun, guys. Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah.
Dude, we love having you here. We love going through the news. Stuff comes out every single day. It's been a wild day, guys. Alex Jones had a space earlier today. I almost got to ask him a question. But these things, like, there's so much stuff going on out there. We got to bring it. We got to channel it through Skyfire News. We got to get you guys in these seats and watching for this hour.
I did interview Professor.
Oh yes, let's talk about that.
Simon Holland today.
How'd that go? And what did he say about that? The signal and his source.
He talked about the Rendlesham forest incident. That's how he met the source that told him about it. And he said on the show that the Rendlesham incident was not UFOs. It was classified technology that involved both the British and the American governments. And he was on this case because he wanted to help a person that got injured in that incident, and that's where he met the source that told him about the SETI stuff. He also told me about a different case from 2019 that was very similar to this, and he said that a professor in Germany discovered quantum tunneling, which is essentially faster than light communication. And I asked him if that was real, and he sent me links and everything, and he believes it's real, and he believes that's the way this communication is taking place.
Wow, yeah, and real quick for the chat and the viewers, we covered this yesterday, right, Tupa? Professor Simon, this was like everyone was talking about it. Let's watch it real quick. It's a minute long, but this was what made the waves, and what Tupa inspired your first short. So let's watch it again.
Short of the show.
My source tells me they've resolved some signals. He's telling me that they found discernible, unique information encoded in the global ET signal. What is it, says I? Decoding what they have found is a big part of this project. What he was prepared to say is their pictures, their data. What exactly alien ET pictures would look like is really fascinating. I hope what I've told you today is enough to convince you that massive funding is being...
It's enough to convince us. Pavel, what can you tell us about what he's just said there? They resolved images?
He corrected something that he made a mistake on his video, because he put an image that said that $95 billion were spent on this, but then he corrected it, and he said that he gave me the link, and I left it on the description, that it was between 6 and 9 billion euros that were invested in this, which is still a lot of money. I mean,
but yeah, I think his original figure was 25 billion, right? But
no, 95.
95 bill. So now he's saying it's actually between 6 and 7 billion, which I think is what we need. I mean, Avi Loeb was kind of arguing for the B's, right? We need billions in funding.
Yeah, and he also was very adamant. He was very transparent, I think, and I don't think he believes this is completely true. He was just like reporting on what his source said, and he decided to report it because he trusts his source. And funny enough, I saw that the UFO Joe,
friend of the show,
he posted a long text about that and corroborated that maybe one of his sources is the same source that the professor has. And
so after that, do you still believe this stuff after that price discrepancy from the source?
I think that he believes what he's saying. It is possible that the source is not telling the truth, I guess. But I did feel like he was willing to be pressed on it and get hard questions on it. And I did ask him everything that I found pertinent from the Twitter, the tweet I sent before the interview. And he was like, "This is great. I'm gonna ask my source these questions too because I haven't asked them." And I felt that was really cool because if you're that transparent and you're not immediately defensive, I think that's a good sign.
Agreed.
In my book.
Agreed.
Well, great journalism win on getting that, right?
Yeah, man.
His interview or his clip was popping, sending everywhere, and you were the first one, I think, to get him. So good stuff, Pavel.
Guys, we have Pavel's link down there at the bottom, scrolling around for his Twitter account. If you want to see this stuff as it comes out, if you want to see what he's doing, support him, go follow him, retweet his work. Again, grabbing Simon Holland, like, you know what I mean? Right after he made that announcement, I back up Red fully. That's a huge plug, dude. And it's that kind of journalism that we love around here. Your work is really appreciated, Pavel. Thank you so much for coming in today, man.
Thank you, guys.
Dude, anytime. Well, anytime. We definitely got to cover more of the Jacobo story. Absolutely. Right.
This is an ongoing investigation. I mean, I am going to try to speak to everyone I can. I do wish and hope that both Dr. Jack Valet and Dr. Hal Puthoff can see the work I'm doing and they can give me some minutes with them to just ask. I mean, if this is a heavily classified case, I understand, but I do think that the doctor needs the credit he deserves, and I also think that his work can help humanity, and that's what I want, for his work to be acknowledged and for it to be of some kind of help to anyone who needs it. So yeah.
Well said. I hope that they catch wind of you as well. I mean, I wish I had more connections to Hal Puthoff. I'd help you out as best I can, but he's like an icon, dude, and someone that I think you should definitely be talking to. He seems to know everything. Like you said, you'll be researching something else, and then his name comes up, right? You'll be like, okay, this is not even like tangentially related to the UFO phenomenon. I'm doing something else, and then boom, Hal Puthoff. So I think you get a lot of answers there, man. A lot of answers from there. Red, anything else we got to go over?
Nope, I think that's it. Great show.
Great
Love Pavel.
show,
Glad
guys.
he's here.
All right, guys. We'll be around maybe in a UFO Spaces later on Twitter. If you guys want to find us, hit us up, leave some comments here, become a member, do whatever you guys need to do. Like and subscribe to the channel. Go over to the Big Thing podcast. Go over their daily UFO podcast, like that stuff. Support Pavel in any way you can. Until next time, guys, we're going to leave you guys with a little bit of our funnest commercial created by Logan Black. Pavel, just go ahead and listen to it on the way out, man. It's going to be a good ride. Always is. Tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll see you guys there.
See you there. Bye-bye. See you in space, Pavel.
Sick of the same old news that's more snooze than news? Then crank up the volume for Skyfire News, the only broadcast that's literally out of this world.
As an astrophysicist, I can tell you that the universe is full of mysteries, but with Skyfire, you can uncover some of those mysteries from your phone in your pocket.
I've tangoed with tales so top secret, they're stored on the dark side of the moon. Skyfire News, it's like they've hacked the galactic mainframe, serving up scoops so juicy, they make Area 51 look like a public library.
With unrivaled extraterrestrial expertise and interstellar insights, Skyfire News brings you the latest from the final frontier. We're not just ahead of the curve, we're bending space-time. Sick of the same old news that's more snooze than news?
I love
Then
it.
crank up the
And I
volume
don't
for
care that it's
Skyfire
going to go
News.
twice. Guys, real quick, there is something I think I have to do over here, right? We have to shout out the people with the super chats. Seriously, you guys, like, being in the chat is so great. I don't know how many of you guys are still watching, but we got to give a shout out again to Armstrong, dude. Thank you so much. Sandy, every time you're here, it feels like we have like our fan base. And the same thing goes with Alicia, longtime supporter of Chupacabra, longtime supporter of Skyfire. The UFO and UFO news world should be fun, should be interesting, should be exciting. And it doesn't have to be a crazy toxic landscape that some internet communities fall into often. Here at Skyfire News, we're just trying to bring everybody together, dude. We got guests from all over the world. We're trying to bring the most relevant news to you guys first. We're trying to keep a tight show, and it's this kind of support that really helps out. It really does. And a last minute super sticker from UFO Intros, dude. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys don't follow UFO Intros, please do go on Twitter, follow them right now. UFO Intros and Kimball, they talk to literally everyday people about their experiences. And it's kind of refreshing. We have all these celebrities and big names that we want to get to and that we want to keep like promoting and be like, oh, they're on our show. Come watch our show. UFO Intros is actually out there just grabbing like your neighbor who saw something and being like, here's the stage, dude, tell me about it. And that's what I love about UFO Intros. Again, can't thank you guys enough for popping in. This has been the craziest couple weeks of starting this channel with Red Panda, with our team, with Keemstar, and it's just super dope to have you guys here. And thanks for being here. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. Great show. Great to have you here, Gabrielle. I mean, hell yeah, dude. Like Crystal, we love it too. Everybody, tomorrow's Friday. We'll have some more conspiracies, some more UFO video. Wait, there's actually a UFO clip that we didn't play. We didn't play it. Do you guys want to see it? There's a UFO clip, and this is from New York City, and this is actually kind of interesting. So we're just going to do it. We're going to run it because we're now basically in after show territory. Check this out. Okay, maybe you missed it. You blink, you missed it. Okay, you missed it for sure. You're on a plane. You're landing over here in New York, and suddenly, like outside of your plane, this thing kind of flies by. Did you see it? Did you see it? Check this out. I'm going to have to get in here and share the screen because you guys got to see the photograph of this image and how strange it truly is. It looked like a bug. A lot of people saying it could be a bug. Personally, I don't subscribe to bug theories. That's me. I want it to be a little bit more exciting than the bug. And the images I saw actually were more exciting than that. Can your man pick it up though? Yes, I just found it. All right, let's see if we can do this over here. Get a little screen share happening. Guys, we are just going, and look at this. Maybe look at it. There we go. There we go. This is a still image of what flew by the camera. Does that look like an insect to you? It looks like it looks solid, like a technology. Look, it's reflecting the sun. It's got sharp angles. There's some aesthetic to it, right? Kent says, not a bug at that altitude, Sam. Kent, I agree. We are on the same page here. We are on the same page here. Like, oh, TKO says that's a whale, bro. Maybe it is. Maybe it is, right? Well, we don't know. It doesn't look like an insect, and it definitely has structure to it. It was flying by the camera pretty quick. The plane's moving fast. It's not, I mean, it's coming in for a landing. Like something's going on. This is something. And it's not the first object that I've seen that resembles some type of like a gadget. It looks like a gadget. Chat, what do you guys think? Fake, gadget, craft, bug? Dude, okay, here we go. Kimball says, bro, that's fake news. That's enhanced with AI. Maybe. I didn't do my homework on this. I'm just showing you guys what I saw. Okay, we got a pilot. Okay, this looks like some type of curse word in a different language. Nope. Pilot tossed his vape out the window. That's my favorite response. Derek Daughtry, maybe with a W here. Pilot tossed his vape out the window. What's the flavor? What flavor? Is it wild berry? Is it triple berry? Is it melon? What's the flavor of the vape? Wild love it. That's a new one. If Pepe was a UFO gadget, agreed. Totally agreed. Guys, that was the UFO clip, and I loved it. I loved it. No more conspiracies for you guys today, but don't forget about this guy, Frederick Valentich. Go look at the case. All right, planes are disappearing. Do we need Ryan Graves' safe aerospace initiative in here? Maybe we do. Maybe for Frederick, we absolutely need it. We don't know. I stayed late with you guys because you guys showed up for us. I love the support. Until next time, guys, it's tomorrow's show is Friday. We try to do it big for Friday. If you guys have any comments, questions, want to see a certain thing, find us on Twitter. Find me on Twitter. It's Stupacabra, co-host Red Panda Koala. And that's the stream, guys. Until next time, take care.